Welcome back to the Riichi Mahjong Guide. In this episode, we're going to cover a few more yakuman, as well as a rare yaku that is related to one of these yakuman, as well as a special rule that is related to these yakuman. So the first couple yakuman we're going to talk about are Daisuushii and Shousuushii, translated as big four winds and little four winds. Both of these are yakuman that involve having a bunch of the winds. For Daisuushii, you need to have triplets of every wind, whereas for Shousuushii, you need to have triplets of 3 of the winds and a pair of the last wind. So this is an example of a hand that is waiting on the east and the 8-man. Winning on the east would make it Daisuushii, but winning on the 8-man would make it Shousuushii. Usually, if double yakuman are used, then Daisuushii is a double yakuman. But that's not always the case. In the case where you're playing by a rule set that does not allow double yakuman, or Daisuushii is just not a double yakuman for some reason, there's no reason not to just go for Shousuushii with a better weight like this. Since you have your Shousuushii confirmed, you can use a yakuman to improve the odds of winning. Or with a hand like this, you could just wait on the single east for a single yakuman. And as you can see, this yakuman can be claimed with an open hand. The same can be said about the next yakuman we will discuss. So this is an example of a yakuman called Daisangen, or Big Three Dragons. Similarly with Daisuushii, you have to have a triplet of each of the 3 dragon tiles, and this is worth a single yakuman. In this example, we have a hand that is in tenpai waiting on the 1-man or the 4-man to complete a pair. More commonly though, we might have a hand like this, where we are waiting on that last haku to complete the yakuman Daisangen. But if we win on the 1-man, we will instead get the rare yaku Shousangen, or little 3 dragons. Shousangen is only worth 2 han. It's not as good as a yakuman, of course, but it's still something. And if the other 2 haku in this case are discarded already, you can't really do much about it, so you just go for what you can get. Shousangen is worth 2 han, regardless of whether your hand is open or closed, and you are guaranteed to get the 2 yakuhai from whatever 2 triplets of dragon tiles you have. So essentially it is a 4 han yaku, and it's of course easily combined with stuff like honitsu, chanta, or maybe even hondoto if you're lucky. So if you're aiming for a Daisangen and you can't quite get there, you can at least try and get Shousangen, which is quite an expensive hand in its own right. So at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there's a special rule that is usually applied to 2 of these yakuman. That rule is called Pao, or second-mbei. So with regards to Daisangen, the second-mbei rule means that if a player has 2 visible sets of dragon tiles, meaning that they're either an open pon, open kan, or closed kan, and you toss out the 3rd dragon tile and they call on it for a pon or even a kan, then you are responsible for paying that yakuman hand if they are able to win. Let's say you toss out the haku for whatever reason against this hand. They're not in tenpai, but let's say, oh, you don't think they have it, so you're just like, oh, I'm going to try it, and you toss out the haku, and they call pon. They toss out their tile, and now they're in tenpai for Daisangen. It doesn't matter whether or not they're in tenpai at this point, but because you tossed out the 3rd dragon tile that they needed, you have to bear responsibility for the payment of this yakuman if they win. If they win by tsumo, it is treated as if they got a don on you, so you have to pay the entire 32,000 or 48,000 points, depending on if they're east or not. But if they declare don on another player, you have to pay for half of it. Even though you weren't the one who dealt in, you still gave them that yakuman. So you have to pay for half of the don payment. So that would be 16,000 or 24,000, depending. So generally, you don't want to toss out tiles recklessly like that when you can see that they could have a yakuman. Just because they're not in tenpai doesn't mean that you don't have to pay for the hand. It's the same case for Daisuushii, except instead of them just having 2 open calls, they have to have 3. And if you toss out the fourth wind, like so, then you are the one responsible for that yakuman payment. So against yakuman hands like this, you shouldn't be recklessly tossing out the tiles they might need, otherwise you might be the one responsible for paying for that yakuman. And the second-mbei rule doesn't necessarily only apply to these two yakuman. It could apply to like Dinshan Kaiho after a Daiming Kan, like I'm sure you've seen in Akagi or Saki, or it could apply to the fourth kan if it's a Daiming Kan for a Su Kansu, which we will talk about in the next video. But it is almost always used for these two yakuman, which is why I brought it up in this video. Alright, so to review, in this video we talked about 3 yakuman and a rare yaku that's just one step down from a yakuman, Daisuushii, Shousuushii, Daisangen, and Shousangen, as well as the Pao or second-mbei rule that applies to Daisuushii and Daisangen. Alright, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and thank you for watching.